And now, a three-time sports editor, former online and managing editor, and host of Talk That Talk, award-winning journalist Terrell Emerson.
Welcome to it. Welcome to it. It is 10:30 on a Thursday night, but I got company in the building, guys. I actually thought about starting a little earlier, and then right before that happened, this whole YouTube thing crashed. So we had to kind of get this back up and running. But it is 10:30 on a Thursday night, so you guys know what time it is. It is time for the Talk That Talk radio show, your second episode of the week. And yeah, man, like I said before, I am your host, Terrell Chatterbox Emerson, in studio. If you guys are already watching via YouTube, and we'll get to those specifics in a second. If you guys are already watching on YouTube, you already see who's behind the camera because Markel Collins is in the building. You guys know what that typically means. It's a Thursday show, so we got some basketball on to end the show with. But we got some things that we're starting with. Before we do that, man, Kel, fresh off another shift, as your typical Thursdays are. How you doing, my brother?
Doing good, man. Kind of tired. I ain't gonna lie, but you know, I'm feeling refreshed, man. I love these Thursday shows, man. I love doing the podcast, but man, these Thursday shows they just hit different, man. So
it's definitely a different energy in the building once we get here, right? And we usually create the energy on a day like today. But yeah, man, we can get right to it. Thursday night, right? This show is of course being shot from the Harry Reid Research and Technology Park here on Sunset. Let me go ahead and take one of these off. There we go. Yeah, man, this show is being shot from the Harry Reid Research and Technology Park here on Sunset, here in Las Vegas, Nevada. If you guys would like to follow us on YouTube, all you have to do is go to YouTube, go to the search bar, type in Talk That Talk Radio Show. Once again, go to the YouTube, go to the search bar, type in Talk That Talk Radio Show. I believe the specific @ on our YouTube, if you guys want to go ahead and check that out, is @ Talk That Talk Radio Show 195. If you guys wanted to go ahead and follow us directly on YouTube, it is @ Talk That Talk Radio Show 195. If you guys would like to follow us on social media, you guys can. I'm talking Apple Podcast. I'm talking Spotify. I'm talking Instagram. What else am I talking about? I'm talking Facebook,
iHeart,
everything. Literally any and everything you can find. You will find us at Talk That Talk Radio Show. Once again, anywhere you want to find us, you can find us at Talk That Talk Radio Show. The one place that would be different is our Twitter. Our Twitter is at Talk That Talk LV. Yeah, man, but let's get right to it. We have this is episode 37 of season 6. So we're getting right to it. I would say 30 minutes. Well, we're 30 minutes late, right? We had some things to tend to. Like I said before, you're fresh off of a shift, so you came right in. But I do have a tip in from my mom, and we can hop right into it. I got the show divvied up in a different way today. You want to know how I got the show kind of divvied up right now?
of course.
So I have 2 blocks only on a night like tonight. I have college in the first block, and I have pros in the next block. That's it. That's all. Let's get to my mom's tipping. Let's get to some sports talk, and let's get out of here. Deal?
Deal.
All right, let's do it. My mom's tip in for today. She sent me a couple, but I like this one. Speak positive words into your life every single morning. Think big, think healing, think success, think peace, think happiness, think growth mindset. Always start the day with positive energy. You deserve it. So, as we typically do, we'll get into the show, but I want to kind of open the show with that really quick. Do you have any, I don't want to say rituals, but I guess that's the only word. Do you have anything that you try to do or try to avoid doing as soon as you wake up?
I try not to grab my phone as soon as I wake up. No. I'm not gonna sit here and lie and act like I'm perfect with that. Because you know, a lot of us we kind of addicted to our phones. But usually I try to get up. If not, stretch. You know what I'm saying? Do some yoga or something. If not, I try to hop straight up, brush my teeth, go hit the gym. Or
Did you just say do some yoga?
You know what? You know, I'm not.
No, wait, no. Answer my question. It's a yes or no. Did you say do some yoga? Is that what you said?
Yes.
I will put. Oh, I want to put so much more money on it. I will put $30. I want to put 50. I want to put 100. Oh, anyway. Next pot that we do, I can't even do it because I want you to do it now. I don't think that there's a single soul that you can call on your phone right now that can back up what you just said.
What?
That you do yoga? Are you gonna call on air right now? I triple dog dare you. This is a Thursday night episode. We can cut something.
I will call my brother right now.
We can try it. This is live and this is happening right now. So I will get the show started in a different way. Like I said, we got some college basketball on the slate. We have college football on the slate, right? And we're at a weird spot in terms of college sports. We'll see if this guy answers the phone, right? We'll see what happens. See if this guy can get his story confirmed on air. But we're at a weird spot right now in terms of Vegas sports. Let's see. You lucky.
Your call has been forwarded.
Wow, see, it be your own brother.
Can't even bail you out right now. Look at you. Look at you. So you know what that means, right? That means that we don't believe you, right?
You know, it's cool. It's cool because
I just want you to know.
He gonna call back, and I'm gonna have to prove. You know what I'm saying?
You think you really are?
No, I am. I swear.
He's not calling you back. All right, you got it. As soon as you said it, I should have just been like, what the hell? Don't know what the hell just happened back here, but we can go ahead and hop right into, and it's still going. We can go ahead and hop right into our show. So, like I said, I have everything divvied up, right? I got college and I got pros. So, in terms of college, Kay, you want to give people a little bit of a glimpse behind the scenes real quick and let people know what you said as soon as we walked in? You didn't know that college sports was first, but what did you say?
Well, I said, I was like, look, can we just talk about, you know, UNLV's women basketball, you know, not the men's, because I don't really want to engage in that.
The answer is hell no, by the way.
Because my heart, like, see, this is why I avoid getting too invested with the men's team, because when I get invested with them, I put my whole Vegas spirit into the team, and then yeah, all right, let's go.
All of the Vegas spirit, not just a little bit, but all of it.
UNLV basketball was the first true team Vegas had outside of anything. Like,
I thought you were gonna say something else. I thought you were gonna say like it was your first true love or something.
Nah. I wouldn't say that. Like, because growing up as a kid, I didn't even realize we had a football team. I'm gonna keep it real. That's, you know, no shade to the football team whatsoever. Like I'm proud of y'all. Hey, we in the Mountain West Championship. You know what I'm saying? Round of applause for that. You know what I'm saying? So,
and that's several of the things that we have to discuss tonight, right? And that's actually where we're starting. We're starting with the women's team. The men are next, so I'm letting you know now. So there's your heads up. But the women's team, we can go ahead and talk about really quick. So like I said, we're at a weird spot in terms of Vegas sports, right? Because somebody asked me what did I have to do today or yesterday rather. And I was trying to figure out what was coming up, and I was like, yeah, everything is kind of pushed out. It's pushed out for me, right? So we're at a, I don't want to say impasse, but we're at a spot on the schedule where Raiders get a longer break because they played on Black Friday. UNLV men and women are getting extended breaks, right? Mid-season. Getting down to the nitty-gritty in college football, so we know how that goes. But we can go ahead and a lot of tonight is going to be foreshadowing, and with that, it'll be a little bit of recapping and doing that, right? So let's have some fun with it. But let's talk about the women's team really quick. The Lady Rebels, they're 6-2 to start the season. Let's talk about Power Conference, right? And where's my phone? I don't know what the hell is going on. But yeah, man, let's talk about Power Conference really quick. So if we're gonna discuss UNLV, Lindy La Rocque's Lady Rebels, there's no way we're gonna do it without discussing her scheduling, right? And it's something that's been a sticking point for her for quite some time. She feels like the only way to get where this team and this program wants to go is to schedule these tough games, right? And the first two were very, very tough in terms of Arizona and Oklahoma. Arizona was on the road. Oklahoma was here at the Thomas and Mack, but it was a 30-point loss. So it was a lopsided loss. Like Lindy said, clearly they came out tonight and proved that they were the better team. She looked at the score sheet and was like, I don't think they're 30 points better than us, but tonight that was the case. And obviously we got to go ahead and go back to the drawing board. But since then, they've picked up a Big 12 win. I think, is it two of them? Let me go ahead and double check. I want to say it's two. No, it's one. I apologize. It's that UCF win, right? And that UCF win counts as their first Power Conference win of the season. But I mean, even still, right? And I've said it before in different capacities, especially with UNLV groups. But I've watched this team, except for the 30-point loss. Oh, okay. Wait a minute, we got a call. Wait a minute.
Hello.
Let him guard dog. What the fuck you want?
Good thing this is internet radio.
Hey man, look. See, I'm over here talking to one of the homies.
Let this man know that you are live on air.
Live on air. I'm doing the show right now. Tell him that I'll be doing yoga. He don't believe me.
Barely, nigga.
Oh, see, all right. See,
But that's a yes though. That's a yes.
so that's the thank you. That's the answer that I needed.
Thank you. That's
You owe me $30.
Yeah, because you do it.
No more talking.
No,
cut him
no,
off.
no.
No, cut him off. Cut him off. We're back to the topic.
All right, I get back to
That's hilarious. No, you know what's funny? Shout out to that. Shout out to brother relationships, right? But yeah, man. Lindy and company. The funny thing is, aside from that 30-point loss, and even then, you kind of learn something about this group. This group has been able to go out, and there's still something that you're holding on to, even at the end of losses.
Yeah. I mean, first off, like I'm just proud of like what the team is doing. Like, I feel like outside of the tough schedule, I feel like she's starting to figure out who her top two leaders are.
Okay.
Seeing McKenna Brackens like past two games putting up 17, 19 points to lead the way in both games, shooting the ball very, very, very well. And from the guard position, Amarachi Gibson, putting up 18 and 13 points, so I feel like those two are really going to start to stand out like as the season goes on. I know start the year, like we kind of looked at this team, we're like, okay, everybody's kind of doing their part. Like the team is good, but who's going to stand out? And right now it seems like they're starting to lead the way in their own type of way. Granted, going against this tough schedule that they're playing against too. So,
and that was actually something that Lindy talked about a little bit, right? Somebody asked her about McKenna, maybe I did. And she was like, hey, McKenna's getting to a point to where she's forcing us to put her out there. And that's I think I kind of said it before, but that's the best compliment that I believe any player can get. You're forcing your coaching staff's hand in terms of what the rotation looks like, because you're dominating out there and you're encouraging more opportunity, right? And you're encouraging more minutes for yourself, and obviously in doing so, more opportunity for your team. Ironically enough, you went to the next topic I want to talk about a little bit. I want to talk about the roster, and I keep talking about the roster reinventing itself year after year. Kiera Jackson, Lindy talks about her a lot, obviously being a team senior and just playing with the type of heart that she plays with. There's a missing piece on this team. There's a hole, and I've seen it for quite some time. And now that we're a couple of games in, it's definitely here, and it's not a joke, right? Um, this team's shooting has to either vastly improve before the Mountain West Championship, or it has to commit to a play style that would essentially okay them to take between 8 and 11 threes a game and still get the dub. Maybe that means hopping into your press earlier. Maybe that means staying in your press longer, right? I don't know exactly what that entails, but I look at the way that this team has shot through the first 8 games of the year. They're 6-2. That's a pretty good start, right? For a team that's favored to win the Mountain West again. Let's just call a spade a spade. The loss of Alyssa Durazo-Frescas has hurt this group, and I don't know if they're going to replace her shooting by the end of the season.
Yes, I mean, shooting is hard to come by. I mean, and it's very important, especially like in today's game. You got to be able to shoot the ball, especially pressing the way they do. I mean, I know before we were on the show, we talked about their schedule, and I compared it to Tom Izzo building out a tough schedule. With them pressing, it's kind of like Louisville. Like if you think back to that Louisville run, when Peyton Siva, Russ Smith. Yeah, okay, yeah, the team was all around. The team was good all around, but they could shoot the ball.
Peyton Siva.
Yeah, yeah.
That just hit. That name just hit, and you're a sick man for that. Wow, Hoopers Unite.
That's a name for you. So I mean, yeah. So at a certain point in time, you do have to be able to shoot the ball pressing like that. I mean, you can only get so many layups and free throws and baskets. When you face off these better teams like team they got coming up playing Baylor, when you play teams like that, you have to be able to shoot the ball. Like you're not going to be able to get to the cup, especially when they are dealing with players who are pretty much way bigger than them and they're just completely outsized and can't compete on the glass. So they're going to have those situations. So once again, I feel like this schedule is going to help prepare them, like not only for the Mountain West, but for the tournament later on in the year. So I think they do need these type of games right now.
They're going to have to withstand team size by committee. Right, and we've kind of talked about it. Whether it's McKenna Brackens, whether it's Alyssa Brown, whether it's Meadow Rowland, whether it's Erica Collins, whether it's whoever you need to get. Even if you got to get in there and give me 3 fouls, I need you to get in there. I need a body. I need you to bump a little bit. That's what I need. I need presence. Right, that's what this team is going to have to continue to establish. Because I'm going to be honest. This team, the way that it plays defense. What's going on now? Oh, I thought you had some. You over there laughing. All right. So the way that this team plays defense, right, and the way that this team presses, the way that this team creates opportunities for itself, I think the issue that I feel like that they're going to run into is taking too many threes. If this team shoots 14 or more, I don't know. I don't know if I like this team's chances, depending on the game, right? And then you watch a game like Arizona where UNLV starts to press late, UNLV can't press late because they're being pressed after every single make, and Arizona's knocking down open threes. So in those moments, I don't know if they can go back and forth with those teams from power conferences, but I do think there's a good part of the season, a good 75%, 80% that they can get through without really having that shooting.
I mean, keeping the trend going with the comparisons, if it really comes down to them, especially when they're playing against these taller, like more grittier teams, they could do it like Virginia did, I mean, keep the game low scoring and just fight it out, keep the game muddy, and try and hold teams to around 50 points each and every game. And right now, like, they're not really having a problem with that. I mean, teams are scoring around 60 at the most. So I mean,
They also pull a San Diego State and win games 48-40.
That too. I mean, they're definitely capable of it. So I mean, and I don't want to compare them to San Diego State. I mean, I don't
Might be a reason for that.
we don't really want to do that, but so I mean, but they can really do it. But like you said, I feel like 14 around 14, 15 threes. Like, I feel like that's kind of like the sweet spot. But if they do go over that, yeah, it could get a little wishy washy.
The sad part is, I think the sweet spot is under that, and I'm going to talk to Lindy about that and just see where her brain is, because and you know what, and this is going to sound kind of crazy, but I wouldn't be mad if a bulk of the shots from three came from the bigs. The way that this offense is, that might be the biggest switch up in terms of how much of a paint presence that Desi was last season, right? Now, when I say a bulk of them, let's just say that they're taking 11, 12, like I just said, right? AB is probably going to give you 3. McKenna might give you 2 or 3. If you're taking 11, they just took 6. So, I don't know, man. I won't give away everything that kind of is in my head right now, just when I watch this team play. But I do think this team will have to reinvent itself mid-season in order to get to where it wants to get to. So we'll see how that goes. We recorded a podcast. The OD Pod is back, right? The OD Podcast is actually up on YouTube. The audio, I'm going to try to get that up. What's tomorrow? Friday? I'm going to try to get that up tomorrow. But the official YouTube, we're back up. We're back on. New setup. New background, same show, man. Same show. We're gonna get to it the only way we know how. But when you walked in, the first thing you said to me, you said, "I told you prior to the season starting, the UNLV men's basketball team needed to be 6-1 at this point, maybe 5-2." You looked at me, you put your hand on your hip, and you was like, 4-3. So with that, I'm gonna pose to you the same question that you posed to me. 4-3. I'm sorry, guys. It's not a question, but in sports world, or in the sports world, it's a question.
Yeah. So I mean, we actually came in to this season very optimistic about the men's basketball team.
Where they told us to be.
It's so crazy. Really, they gave us no reason to be as optimistic as we were, but we still were. We were like, you know what, got some good transfers, got returners, it's gonna be all right. We should have been like that for UNLV football. We wanted them. You wanted them to be 6-1 coming out of the month of November, and they came out 4-3. They won the games they were quote unquote supposed to win. And
I'll be taking my points back there.
Hey man, I know before you mentioned, like, usually they get up for games that they're not necessarily supposed to win, and that hasn't been the case so far. So
that might be the worst part of it all, right? Kevin is used to being a guy, like you just said, that is able to get his team up in games that they probably shouldn't really compete in. This team has pulled out. I'm gonna tackle it a little differently than you did. But the way that I want to approach this like, in terms of UNLV men's basketball, I want to talk about the quality of wins versus the magnitude of losses. Right? And if you look at their wins right now, they have wins against Alabama State, Omaha, Pepperdine, and New Mexico State. Their losses are to Memphis, Mississippi State, and Northwestern. And Mississippi State was by 22. Now, if you watch those games, Northwestern, they were kind of banged up. I don't know about you guys, but that one didn't really feel like they had a shot, right? So if you're looking at these 3 losses, they really had one shot, and it was the Memphis game. And I'm going to continue to go back to that Memphis game all year long. Because, again, this is a team that's probably going to be in the NCAA tournament, right? I likened it to San Francisco a couple of years ago. A team that at the end of the year, you may look up, they may have 3 losses in conference play. And they end up going to the conference, or they end up going to the NCAA tournament. You're going to want that win on your resume. UNLV had a golden opportunity against Memphis. Again, similar to San Francisco, 30 minutes of great basketball. No excuses in the last 10 minutes for what we saw then and now with this group. Mississippi State, you was pretty much never in it. And then again, Northwestern actually leads me to my last point about UNLV men's basketball. They're injured. They're super banged up. And as much as I would like to sit here and make that the first point, unfortunately, I have to be real with myself. I hope you fans can be real with yourselves. Because I know that UNLV, the program itself, is being real with itself. Unfortunately, these injuries don't matter in the grand scheme of things when it comes to Kevin Kruger. Right now, in terms of these injuries, has he been dealt a bad hand? Absolutely. A lot of injuries. I came in here on Monday and said, after watching that Northwestern game, that I had one takeaway. Everybody was like, oh, the team is in trouble if they lost to New. No. Things happen. But if Bear Cherry isn't healthy, this team has no shot. 0 shot. I shouldn't say 0 shot, right? But I don't believe it has a real shot.
Yeah, no, I get exactly where you're coming from. I mean, we pointed to the fact that, I mean, I think I seen a stat this past week, like he's literally like the most efficient shooter in the country right now.
Yes. So let me tell you so you wasn't here Monday. So this is fun. When I was doing my recap, right? Doing my game story. Bear missed his first field goal attempt. That was the first time all season that Bear missed his first field goal attempt. And that may shock some people. It may not. Some people are like, okay, he starts the game wherever he starts the game. I don't think Bear has missed more than 2 shots in a game. Maybe 3 shots in a game. In that first half, Bear was 0 for 3. Bear didn't score his first field goal until more than 4 minutes into the second half. This team competed. He was on the floor. He was kind of a shell of himself, right? Dealing with injury. Maybe I'll go ahead and add this little caveat to what I said. This team with an injured Bear Cherry, without Rob Whaley, has no shot.
They got to run the offense through him. I mean, there's literally nothing else they can do at this point. I mean, we said it coming into the season. I mean, DJ is going to get double team, triple team, face guarded. They're going to force the ball out of his hand. I feel like he's really trying to find his rhythm and trying to find his flow. But it's kind of hard, when you're the center of attention and you're the main ball handler on the team as well too. And you factor in some injuries on top of that. Bear is the most efficient shooter, but the offense doesn't necessarily run through him. You know, he's still more of an energy guy. So it's kind of like yeah, Kevin has some things to work out with that. But in terms of the team as a whole, I feel like yeah, it's that Memphis game is really something you're gonna have to keep looking back at. I mean, you look a Memphis team that just lost in the Maui Invitational Championship. So I mean, like, yeah, they're definitely gonna be a good team. More than likely gonna make the NCAA tournament. But I feel like, yeah, you don't want to look at the game like that this early in the season and be like that was a critical turning point within the season. But that's one of those games to where it's like, okay, it's early in the season. Let's see where we're at. And that was one of those games at home as well too. You know, matinee game, like that's one of those games where it's like, okay, let's see where we stand. They compete absolutely in the first half. Second half, defensively, you can't let the bottom fall out. You can't let the other teams shoot 70% from the field. Like that's
And were you? Did you go to the game?
I did.
I don't know about you. It didn't feel like 70%, but I don't know about Kevin. Like me, kind of had that epiphany at the same time. When we heard the number, we kind of was like, I guess that explains a couple things. Like I said before, that first 10 minutes, it didn't feel that bad, right? Last 10 minutes was like, oh, here we go. And again, going back to UNLV football, that's what we thought was going to happen at some point with UNLV football, right? From last season to this season, and it hasn't necessarily happened. But before I get to UNLV's next game, right? I want to talk the state of college basketball. I'll talk UNLV's next game as part of this, right? Remember around the Hawaii game when I came in here and I said I was angry at the CBS ticker because I was like, whoever wrote that story saying Kansas is ready for a national championship run or whatever after beating North Carolina. Remember the first thing that came out of my mouth was we're a game or two into the season. I think I might have said by December, you'll be off the train. Now, it was a shot in the dark, mainly because college basketball is weird like that, right? So I'm in the bar yesterday. I just want to give you a couple of the things that I seen. You ready? Number 10, Alabama beat number 20, North Carolina. North Carolina fell to 4-4 on the year after that. That's my first point. Can we revisit that earlier game against Kansas now? Now, if they end up playing a North Carolina team that wins 17 games, we should reevaluate. That happened on the same night that number 9 Duke beat number 2 Auburn. That happened on the same night that number 1 Kansas that I just mentioned went down to an unranked Creighton team. This is what I meant when I said college basketball is going to be Didn't UConn lose back-to-back games earlier this season?
They did. Everybody thought the sky was falling. I mean, yeah, college basketball is fun. Like I'm not gonna lie to you. I know in terms like as a whole, like the whole marketing aspect and like the whole one and done thing and NIL. College basketball is really trying to find its place. I feel like they already had like some kind of identity issues, like even before NIL kicked in. Especially with the explosion of college football over the past 10 years. So I mean, but college basketball is kind of in a place to where it's like there's no before we have these dominant teams, like even the blue bloods are not necessarily standing out the way they used to. The Dukes, the Kentuckys, the Kansas, the North Carolinas, like they're not necessarily maintaining the way they used to. So or even a team like Gonzaga, like, you know what I'm saying, like even they're not like having that reign of dominance that you would usually expect from them. So, but in terms of the games themselves, I feel like they're highly competitive. Uh, Defense, just offense, just the intensity of the game. I feel like it's like the only form of pure basketball that we still get, because I feel like we're not necessarily getting on a high school level or on the NBA level, and I feel like college basketball is still bringing just that, but I guess it's just not enough stars for people to constantly tune in, or it's so many transfers now and NIL, and we had the COVID year, so people are still trying to figure out like who's who and who's where. So, but overall, I feel like the game itself is like in a great place in terms of competition, but in terms of marketing itself, it's still it's still not hitting.
And parody, right?
Mhm.
Right. Like I feel like I don't know. I don't want to say. I don't want to sound disrespectful. I don't know why everybody was looking at Kansas like, yep. I wouldn't even be mad if you were looking at UConn like that, because last season, let's just say if you looked around and you didn't see any stars that had you like, okay, this is gonna change something, right? I don't think that necessarily made you love. I don't think it made you love UConn. I think you looked at what UConn had and you was like, if it's UConn versus the field, I'm taking UConn, right? I wouldn't be mad if you went that route again this year because they've done it back to back years. But I think it's the opposite. If you're taking UConn or the field, right? Kansas or the field, right? Duke or the field, right? I think you can make an argument for 2 or 3 other schools that might have a shot. And I think in doing that, that's where you create your parity, right? So again, I like Bruce Pearl a lot. A lot of college basketball fans like Bruce Pearl a lot. I was watching that Auburn game and was like, if Duke can get, and I don't even know what it was. I said, if Duke can get it up to 75-ish, 80, I said they might be in a good spot. They won 84-78. Every team isn't gonna, every school, I should say, every program isn't gonna speed up a Bruce Pearl led team like that. So again, parity is back in college basketball. It only makes for what you said already, which is good basketball, right? Good outcomes. But yeah, man, the UNLV men's team now has to play that Creighton team in that same building where they took down number 1. So they will be there on Saturday, 1 p.m. By the way, that's their first true road game of the season.
I mean, that's tough. Going on the road to Creighton. I mean, the house that Doug McDermott built. I mean, that's. I mean, yeah. I mean, his dad is still leading that program. I mean, he's done it for years now, and I feel like that's just there's just certain mid-major programs that just stick around. Like even like a team I just mentioned, Gonzaga. Like
I was gonna say a Butler.
yeah, Butler, exactly, or Wichita State, teams like that just like
Loyola Chicago. Let's go back and forth. What's up? What's up? College basketball season.
Man, it's back for real. So yeah, just those like certain high power mid-major teams that just stick around. I mean, Creighton's that's one of those schools that you don't think about until it's time to think about them. And then then you roll the ball out and you're like, where did he find this guy? Where did he find these guys? Because
it's more than one.
I'm out of breath. We got to do this for 40 minutes. They're shooting the ball like crazy, and
Everybody's 6'7". What is happening?
And it's always 2 guards in the backcourt that can just shoot from 40 feet. So I mean, it's not really much you can do with it. So, but yeah, I mean, yeah, shout out to Coach McDermott. I mean, they always produce a good team each and every year. They produce pros. I want to say it was Baylor Shireman. Yeah, he went to the Celtics this past season. So, I mean, yeah, they're still producing pros. So, it's going to be a tough battle, but like you said, I feel like UNLV could definitely make the game. They have to once again play through Bear. DJ is gonna have a lot of pressure on him from the tip until the end of the game. I feel like it's kind of interesting watching him because you see him trying to like work through it. He's trying to keep his teammates involved. He's trying to make sure he still scores the ball, but it's tough right now because you're dealing with injuries. So it's like, all right, I gotta score the ball, but I still gotta play my position. I gotta make sure the team's in order, and it's a lot on his shoulders right now. So uh, I'm sure a lot of diehard UNLV fans would, he's the leader and people trying to point to him and be like it's his fault, but he can only do so much at the end of the day.
Is it more likely that UNLV wins by 10 or loses by 20?
Due to the injuries, lose by 20.
You said it, not me. Let's talk about UNLV football. Let's talk about UNLV football and its trip to. I was going to ask you to look up something, but I'm going to look it up while I talk. Let's do it. Oh, and by the way, that game against Creighton for UNLV men's basketball, that is unless Dayton turns out to be something more than history has shown us, this is going to be UNLV's last non-conference opportunity to get a resume win. Respectfully, if they were to add Dayton to its resume, because it did it recently, I don't know that many people care. This would be the game to turn heads, right? Now, we got to talk about tomorrow because 6 p.m., I will be in front of a TV, notepad out, iPad out, ready to go because UNLV is in the Mountain West Championship game for a second straight season. Number 20 UNLV against number 10 Boise. It's a lot riding on this game. I know you, being a Vegas native, you're not covering the game, so you get a little bit of fandom in this opportunity. UNLV has a real chance to shock the world, and we'll see if they can do it, right?
Most definitely. I feel like last year, for a lot of people, it was still too good to be true. Seeing them in the Mountain West Championship game, I feel like the pageantry and the spirit was there for us to win it, but did we really think? Not really. That Boise State team last year was loaded. I mean, the quarterback is down in Arkansas now playing the SEC. I mean, it wasn't really one of those situations. But this year it just feels different. It feels different. It feels like, all right, this is the time. This is the moment for UNLV football to go over the top and finally not just show the conference, not just show Vegas, but show the country that UNLV is no longer a laughingstock. That UNLV is a program to be reckoned with. That UNLV is a school that top recruits should look at to come attend and not only play but thrive and go to the NFL and go play professional in other leagues as well too. So I feel like this is a real program defining moment for UNLV. You know, we've seen so many changes in the past literally 2 years. I mean, it's it's quite amazing to see like just the shift that's happened. The entire program, the culture, everything has changed. So, I mean, but this is what UNLV wanted. When they invested all this money into the program, when they left Sam Boyd, when they got the new practice facility, this is what they prepared for. This is what they wanted, and now they're finally in that position. And then, this senior class is literally seeing a split difference within this program. They seen the struggles their freshman and sophomore year, and now on the back half, they know what winning feels like. So they're a big part of changing the culture, and right now they can stamp their legacy right now with beating Boise State tomorrow.
Now, Wow. First of all, that was nice. I'll give you that. I was ready for air horns too. I think I'm gonna start doing air horns in the middle of people talking. But I couldn't have said it better myself. This is an opportunity for this program that Barry said it. It wasn't ready for it last year. It turned heads. It shocked people. I mean, I don't want to go too far here, but if Barry himself is saying that the team wasn't ready, does it sound like they shocked themselves a little bit? I feel like UNLV has had every opportunity to lose big games, right? This season. It's happened twice. And ironically enough, every big game that they had on the road, it found a way to pull it out. It was at home against Boise. You have those 3 big penalties in the fourth quarter. I'm going to continue to go back to them. 2 of them keep Boise drives alive. 1 of them leads to one of yours stalling. Barry's team hasn't typically made those mistakes on the road this season. I want to also touch on really quick, and this was actually the first point that I should have touched on with this game. You want to guess what right now game time weather looks like?
$60 degrees, 65.
Cut it in half. We are in Idaho in December, baby.
That's where the Mountain West Championship game is?
It's not here. Boise hosts. Albertson Stadium tomorrow night, 34 degrees. Now, UNLV has won in pitiful conditions in Hawaii. And I'm on record saying that if it didn't stop raining going into the third quarter at San Jose State, they might have lost that one. But they played in 2 games in really shitty weather, right? And they're 2-0. As of now, I think I got cloudy. 34 degrees and cloudy.
That's tough. That's tough. I mean,
The defense is going to travel, right? I mean, well,
absolutely. They've traveled
that's what I would
everywhere all year, win or loss. I mean, that's the I mean, that's what you need to win championships. I mean, if you ain't got a defense, I mean, if you ain't got a defense and you can't run the ball, I mean, you're not gonna win. That's football anywhere, any level, all the time. So, I mean, if they can lean on the running game and have Malik Hodge Williams just maintain within the passing game, and him and Ricky White hold it down on that side, I feel like they should be just fine. They don't necessarily want to get into a running battle with Boise State. That's not necessarily something you want to get yourself into, but I mean, playing in a cold weather game like that, I mean, I feel like it's definitely a factor, but in a championship game, it's a non-factor. I mean, all that goes out the window. It's all or nothing time. Like nothing else matters at this point. So, in terms of in terms of the weather, I mean, that's definitely tough. That's crazy. I really thought it was a neutral site game.
Nope.
Just like the SEC, even though it's not a neutral site game. I'm not going. I'm not going to go there. I'm not going to take it there.
Even though you just did. That is hilarious.
But so the weather, it will play a minor factor, but and like you said, they've won 2 games in bad weather conditions, but right now, nothing else matters. It's championship time.
Now, there's gonna be winners and losers in all of these games, right? I want to talk about what the winner gets and what the loser gets in this UNLV Boise matchup. Now, the winner will either stay or move into the college football playoff. This wasn't you that I was talking to. I was talking to Alex Wright, I believe. But if UNLV wins, how high up into the playoff do they go? Because remember, Boise is technically number 10 in the college football playoff ranking, but they're slotted as a number 4 seed because of their season, which is obviously so far it's 1 loss. So and then we'll get to specifics.
It's just weird because how the whole playoff is set up, and like there's gonna be a G5 team that gets in for sure, but I feel like it's most definitely gonna be whoever wins this Mountain West game. But at the same time, you got to look at Tulane.
UNLV or Boise will get the I don't want to say the final, right? But they'll get a college football playoff spot, more than likely, right? That's what they're playing for. But my question more so was if UNLV wins, how high up into the rankings do they go? Because they'll go into the playoff, but they're not getting a first round bye.
No,
they're not just sliding into that spot. Alex thought that they would go to 12.
mm-hmm.
I don't necessarily know that either. And then I had to go back and I asked him, well, is Ashton Jeanty the Heisman? He said he thinks Travis Hunter is. By the way, Monday I said it was Shedeur Sanders. I woke up Tuesday and was like, no, it's Travis. Woke up yesterday and was like, no, it's Shedeur. I have one thing to say. The Heisman resides in Boulder. Bottom line. I don't know who it is, but he's in Boulder. That said, I think there are a lot of people still who view Boise as one of those, right? If they view Boise as one of those, maybe UNLV needs some help, right? You need some underdogs to win. I don't know that UNLV doesn't slide into a 10. I don't know if they get any higher than that, maybe a 9, but don't really see a real shot of that. But it's not like UNLV hasn't turned some heads this year, right? We talked about what the Lady Rebels look like in their losses. UNLV lost to Syracuse. Syracuse just beat Miami and kept them out of the college football playoff. This matters.
Yeah, I mean, at a certain point, you got to give them credit for playing a tougher schedule. But at the same time, like, does the committee really care about that?
Probably not.
Because you look at Ole Miss, granted, Ole Miss has 3 losses, but you look at the South Carolina that has 2, and they've played a tougher schedule than the Indiana. Granted, Indiana's only lost 1 game to Ohio State, but I mean, you look at their schedules, you're like, So do you credit the team for playing a tougher schedule and losing 2 games, or do you credit the team for winning more games but not playing as tough as the schedule? So I mean, it's kind of hit or miss with that. So really, I feel like it just comes down to like what the committee values more. I think they do value winning more than like your strength of schedule. But granted, I feel like
I don't know that that's true. I think it depends on who you are.
Yeah,
I think it really depends on who you are. Because again, it goes back to the UNLV Lady Rebel point, right? And we'll get back to football. Sorry, guys. But we've talked about it the last 2 seasons. You guys lose a game, you're done. That's just the way it is. Mountain West Championship rolls around. UNLV, you can't lose. You're not getting another shot. They don't respect the Mountain West enough. One team is coming out of the Mountain West. It's kind of the same thing with college football, right? UNLV, you got 3 losses? Never. No shot. Bye. Get away. Alabama? Well, they did lose to Texas. I mean, they did lose to Georgia. I mean, at the time, LSU was 6-0. Whatever excuse they want to come up with, they'll find an excuse for an SEC team, right? Well, some, because I don't think anybody is in there really arguing for South Carolina, right? But I think that is something to kind of talk about as well, which is why if people really, and again, I'm not saying he's not, but if people are saying that Ashton Jeanty is the Heisman, and they're holding Boise to the standard that they're holding them to, I mean, a first round bye. I'm not gonna lie. First time I saw Boise with a first round bye, I was like, huh, you don't say. Can't be mad at it. They are where they are, right? And if they win the Mountain West, you really can't be too mad at it, right? Considering what they look like throughout the season, considering their one loss would be to Oregon. So not too much to argue about from that perspective, but if UNLV gets that, I think UNLV turns even more heads than they already have the past 2 years. Now, we've talked a little bit about what the winner gets, and again, everybody is looking at college football playoff. Here's the selfishness in me, right? UNLV ends up bowl eligible last season, and I'm sitting at home and I'm like, kind of need you guys to win this Mountain West because that means we go to LA and we get to go to the LA Bowl. I want to see home again, right? And it's so crazy because I just had a hair fly on the mic and I 1000% just inhaled it. I'm almost positive I just inhaled it. Anyway, and my allergies are so crazy. Watch my allergies flare up by the end of the show. But it's a moment where I kind of had to sit and kind of just sit and stew in whatever I was feeling for the moment, because I sat back and I thought, and I said, well, winner gets college football playoff, only the second of its kind. We get, this is the first year.
Mm-hmm.
Tweaking. First year of the expanded version of it, right?
Yep.
Or my selfishness creeps in and I said, the loser goes to the LA Bowl. I said in the back of my mind, worst case scenario, I get to go home. So either I'm finding a way to go cover a college football playoff game, or I'm going home to SoFi Stadium. UNLV, and I'm gonna say again what Barry said after the last win. Over the last 2 seasons, UNLV has put together 19 wins. And I don't know of a time that I would have heard that. And we're here, right? So shout out to Barry Odom and what he's been able to do with his staff. Tomorrow, 6 p.m., Mountain West Championship, man. For all the marbles. 34 degrees, and it's probably only going to drop. Who knows what it's going to feel like at the time of kickoff. But yeah, man, we can talk Raiders. We're going to talk NFL playoff picture. We're going to talk Golden Knights, and then we're going to talk a little NBA and get out of here. I love radio, and I keep saying it. I purposely wanted that to breathe for a second because I was going to ask you what to do with the Raiders. All right, how do I say this respectfully? The Raiders. No, don't cover your foot. Nope, don't do that. Don't do that. The people need to see you, sir. Would you rather do the Raider segments with like a brown paper bag over your head?
At this point, yes. I mean, I'm trying to tread lightly here.
Same thing I was trying to do. I'm about to just say it. Should the Raiders lose every game they could possibly lose?
I mean, might as well at this point. What are they? 2-8 at this point? Or
They're 2-10.
2-10. Okay, I missed a couple losses. Yeah. I mean, tank for Shedeur, tank for Cam Ward.
If that's who you want, right?
Yeah. At this point, I mean, You know, and I mean, obviously the Raiders have bigger problems outside of just the quarterback, but you got to. I mean, at this point, the season's a wash. I mean, 2-10. There's not much for it to look to. I mean, earlier in the season, we kept talking about, what's the direction of this team. We still have no clear idea of what that is or what's the plan. Or
You say what's the direction of the team? It's a circle. It's a circle right now. It's not pointing in any direction. It's a circle. We're rebuilding. Keep everything in house. We're rebuilding. That's what it looks like. That's what it feels like. Like I said before, it's going to be tough to tell Aiden O'Connell to not play to encourage a competition, right? That AP, it would be hard to convince AP to lose games if he's coaching for his job, right? I mean, players are one thing, but would it change your opinion if, and this is just me throwing something at the wall, seeing if it'll stick. Would it change your opinion if AP knows that he's coming back next season regardless?
no, because I feel like that wouldn't be beneficial for the future of the team or for him as a coach. Simply because, let's say, hypothetically speaking, let's say Raiders went out, they end up getting a pick right outside the top 10.
Let's do it. Let's play this game because I wanted to do it anyway. Let's name all the quarterbacks that we know are coming out in the draft, or at least we believe. Shador Sanders is number one. Let's go Cam Ward, right? I don't know why I almost said Drake, man. I'm thinking about last year.
Quinn Ewers.
I knew you were gonna go Texas.
He ain't coming back.
Anyway, let's go Nussmeier from LSU. Let's go Carson Beck from Georgia. Let's go Jackson Dart from Ole Miss.
Mm-hmm.
Where are we at? We up to 6 or 7?
I think it's about 6.
We got any more that we want to throw out there right now? Nico's not coming out of Tennessee, right?
Nah, he only a sophomore.
Yeah, Nico's not coming out.
Rest are a freshman. Yeah.
So let's just stick with those 6. How many of those guys do you think the Raiders would be okay with getting?
Only the top 3, really the top 2.
So name the top 3 or 2 to you.
Shador, Cam Ward, Quinn Ewers.
I think that number is 2.
Mm-hmm.
If the Raiders were to, first of all, you said win out. And I chuckled a little bit, only because this group winning 5 straight games seems unfathomable right now.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't even seem possible right now. Now, if the Raiders were to get Carson Beck, I don't know that immediately moves anything, right? Somebody actually said it maybe 3 or 4 weeks ago. Somebody said, oh, yeah, the Raiders are looking for this. The Raiders looking like this, whatever the case may be. They said the Raiders might get Carson Beck. I looked at the person and said the Raiders, but I hope not. This is no disrespect to Carson Beck. I don't mind being wrong. Go to the Giants, go to the NFL, go to the Titans, go somewhere. Shock me. I'm guessing you don't want Carson Beck.
Mm-mm.
Go somewhere and shock me. I don't know what Carson Beck is going to be as a pro. Now, Jackson Dart, who could throw the hell out of the football. I was ready to give you 2.5, close to 3 with him, because football fans are probably the smartest of any of the 4 major sports over here, right? They would do their research on Jackson Dart if they don't know him already. And there would be a lot to be excited about. The Raiders need an immediate needle mover. That's only going to come in the form of Cam Ward or Shedeur Sanders.
In terms of the culture of the Raiders, I feel like either one of those guys would fit in perfectly. I feel like the fan base would definitely embrace him. I feel like the presence and the swagger that they both carry would give like not only a boost to the fan base, but a boost that this franchise needs. A different, a new sense of urgency, a new sense of let's actually make something happen. If not right now, very soon. So um, yeah, I get your point to where it probably is just those two. Like quite honestly, it's probably Shedeur or Cam Ward. But I'm not. I'm not. I'm not sure. I'm not sure what immediate impact either one of those guys will have, just because of the state that the team is in right now. But yeah, I don't know, man. It's tough. It's tough because like you really don't see where the team's going or which direction they plan to go in. I mean, yeah, man. It's not it's not much to say about them right now, quite honestly.
Brock Bowers. That's what we have for you. Brock Bowers is the win for this team, right? That's the highlight of the season. That is the plus. Now let's go to the, do I say minus? Do I say the negatives? As of right now, this team is 2-10 overall. This team is 0-5 in the AFC West. This team is currently tied for the worst record in the league with the New York Giants. And this is the interesting thing, you have conversations all the time, right? Just about different sports that you cover, different sports that you're around. Somebody asked me how good could the Raiders be this year. I was like 5, 6 wins, 7 wins if you're feeling nasty. Like, I don't know. You can get it off, right? I think I said something along the lines to somebody that asked me, well, they won't be the worst team. That take aged like milk.
Nasty work, man. For the Raiders, it's really I just keep pointing back to all the talent they had. Like I've done it all year, and I'm gonna continue to do it to the very last game of the season. You look at the talent that this team has had, from the running back to the quarterback to tight end, wideouts, defensively. It's just you just question what went wrong. And many will point, oh, it was the head coach. No, it was a coordinator. No, it was this player. No, it was that player. Certain point, you got to step back and look at the organization from top to bottom. And you got to really question who's to blame here. And I feel like that's a question that the Raiders have not gotten the answer to over the course of the past 20 years.
Is the person asking the question the problem? I'm gonna be completely honest. I've heard people blast Mark Davis, right?
Mhm.
I've heard people say he should sell the team, say he should bring somebody else in to help with the football decisions. I want to try to choose my words wisely. The last maybe I'm lying. Last two big mistakes that I can remember him making: firing Jack Del Rio and not keeping Rich Bisaccia. Those are the two that come to mind, right? His last coaching hire was a mistake, right? Kind of realized it was a mistake, got from under that situation relatively quickly. This season, and I've said it before, he can kind of look at the Raider Nation and say, y'all said hire him. I went with the energy in the room. He can look at that locker room and go, y'all said hire him. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not necessarily saying that AP is the problem, right? I don't necessarily think he is. But a lot of people are saying that Mark is still the problem. To which, obviously, aside from put out a winning product, what exactly do people want from Mark Davis?
That's a great question, because I just mentioned all the time he's brought in. I mean, he's kept the brand of the team alive. Now, granted, he's always going to get compared to his father, which is completely unfair. I mean, that's won 3 Super Bowls with this team. Like, that's unfair. So, but I mean, in terms of keeping the brand name alive, moving the team to Vegas, some people will look back and be like, some people are still kind of iffy about if the team should have ever left Oakland. I mean, that's debatable, but I'm gonna leave that up to you guys to feel however you want to feel about that. But in terms of the brand and just the image and the face of what the Raiders are, I mean, he's kept that alive and he's pushed that. And if you've been to Vegas or you live out here, you've seen the energy and the enthusiasm that's been around the team, but we just haven't seen results. And it's just, I feel like it's kind of like for them, it's been trying to piece a puzzle together, but you're kind of missing a piece. You're missing a piece, but then the picture starts to come together, but then you're missing another piece. It's like, okay, all right, we got Derek Carr kind of steady. Okay, Darren Waller's gone. Okay, Josh Jacobs running the ball well. Okay, yeah, O-line's not really. Okay, Max Crosby's going crazy. Okay, secondary's not really there. And it's just like, what is going on?
Do you want to know why I'm over here laughing and I'm crying again? Can you guys see it? I don't want to cry on here. Oh my gosh. You want to know what's so funny about that analogy? You're right. The Raiders have this whole puzzle, right? And then they take a piece and they chuck it out the window. And then they take another piece and they burn the edge off. And then they take another piece and they fuse it together. It's like, dog, do me a favor. Go buy another puzzle. The Raiders right now, I said it before. I know people are going to look at me like I'm freaking nuts. Call it a little bit of hope, a little bit of faith, whatever you want to say. This is why I say that. This is the rebuild, right? I'm going to continue to repeat it. This is the rebuild. I don't know that the Raiders can't be productive next season. And when I say productive, I'm talking like flirting with a wild card spot. I don't know that the Raiders can't still be productive. Your quarterback matters. If you go out and you get did Justin Fields sign a 1-year deal or a 2-year deal with Pittsburgh?
Pretty sure it was a 1-year deal.
So let's just say you don't get your guy. Let's just say you don't get your guy. Now, again, especially the way that they're looking, you probably could encourage Justin Fields to stay. Russ to be 35, turning 36. This is yours. As soon as he's out of here, he's not gonna play till 40. I think Russ may be on a 1-year deal. Maybe this is yours. I don't know, right? But just another name that comes to mind, right? And the reason why I brought that up is because let's just say you don't get your quarterback. That's the biggest issue. I've said it before. Zamir White has had moments, like I said before. It was a rough start to the season, dealt with some injuries, but he's had some moments, right? Whenever he could. Alexander Madison has been the best running back out of that running back room. Amir Abdullah has stepped up when he's needed to. I've talked about Sincere McCormick since preseason. I like Sincere a lot. So Brock Bowers is who he is, right? We've seen tight ends be number one options. Jacoby Meyer, I've said it before, is good enough to be your number one receiver. He can do it. As long as this Raider defense is powered by Max Crosby, I like it. I've had I've had one-on-one conversations with Nate Hobbs in the locker room. I've said it before. I would understand if I don't even know what this contract situation is. I would understand if the Raiders wanted to turn that into something, right? I've said it before. I already like arrogance in my athletes in general. I like arrogance in music. I like arrogance in a lot of different things in business. There's a certain aura that you want your cornerback to carry. Nate has it. A defense that's powered by Max Crosby while being flanked by people like a Christian Wilkinson when he's healthy, right? People have forgotten about him. A Robert Spillane that people was like, oh, he's serviceable before he got to the Raiders, and you stick him in the middle of a defense that needs a lifeline, and lo and behold, Rob can be that for you. Then you got some attitude in the secondary with Nate Hobbs, and then you got a young buck. You got a pit bull that you might have to pull back on the leash every now and again in Jacorian Bennett. The Raiders have stuff here. I said it 4 weeks ago, and now these numbers just keep getting further and further back. The Raiders' worst mistake would be to empty out the cupboard. That would be the worst mistake. We can get to, you got something?
No, I was just gonna say, yeah, I understand what you're saying, but it's just like, would it really be that bad
What?
emptying out the cupboard? Because
Define emptying out the cupboard then.
having a full facelift rebuild. Now, granted, I hear you saying like this is the rebuild right here, right now.
I'm with you.
But it's like at the same time, I just feel like it's bad to try and build a team off of a culture of losing. I mean, ask the 76ers in basketball.
Yeah, that's the Titans.
All right.
If you guys have watched that pod already, you know why I'm taking shots. I'm getting my get back.
Yeah, I mean, yes. I mean, exactly. You know, I'll take that. I'll take that on the chin. Yeah, like I mean, Titans, exactly. Same thing. I mean, we traded away Derrick Henry. So it's like dude, us expecting to win, like when we traded away our franchise player, like one of the greatest running backs of all time. Yeah, no, like so at a certain point in time, you gotta like ask yourself, like what do you want your foundational baseline to be? And do you look at anybody on this team outside of a Max Crosby, who's a Hall of Fame D lineman?
I was waiting for something because that would, to me, that would mean emptying out the cupboard. And I hate to say it, I don't know if your head coach is a part of your cupboard.
So, you know, it's like, and again, we talked about it all year. We're like, you hear Max come out. Like, I know you talked to him before too. Like, he wants to be here. He says he wants to be here and all that. But I don't care. As a competitor, you got to look up at a certain point in time. You like,
And then you see what Detroit did earlier tonight against my lovely Packers. By the way, certain games you can't even be mad at. That was an amazing Thursday night football game. First half had me spooked. I was like, this is going to be a really awkward game, huh? Because even, again, I wanted energy. I wanted energy. I wanted excitement. Detroit scores on the first three possessions of the game, and then it fizzles, right? And I think it was first three. And Green Bay went into halftime with 7 points. And for me, I was like, okay, I hope this isn't one of those games where the second half is now a field position game. And this rivalry, number one, but this division rather isn't showcased the way it should be. I was having a conversation at work with a Minnesota Viking fan, and I was like, yo, this division is insane. 2 wildcard teams that may have 12, 13 wins is insane. And then my Packers go out and lose by 3. But I do want to talk.
I was going to say, is that a rivalry? I'm sorry.
Yes, it is.
I'm sorry. I had to. I'm sorry.
You had to be wrong. That is what you chose to be for whatever reason. You're going to piss me off. But and the funny thing is, I was telling somebody earlier today too. I remember when Green Bay needed to play them or had to play them in the last game of the year to make it or whatever. This might have been Jamal Williams' year, and second to last year. And I remember Green Bay got by him, and I watched that game, and I was like, next year they're gonna get one. And I said, the moment they get one, they'll believe. And once they believe, we'll see. We'll see where this goes. Last season, I went in to the season saying, they're going to get both of these. I went into this season with some vigor. Who knows what can happen? We might be able to get both. Game 1 happened. I said, we have no shot in Detroit. I said, we have 0 chance in Detroit. We have 0 to what's less than 0? We have 0 to little chance. We have no real shot. And of course, the game kind of went the way I expected. What I expected was the game to be competitive, and I expected for Detroit to not be denied. And that's exactly what it was. I'm not going to lie. Their kicker, Jake Bates, him smiling before the kick was finished, that's a boss move. Not gonna lie. That's pretty dope. He knew that the celebration was incoming. So shout out to him for that. And it had to be another great moment for him. Somebody who they talked about on the broadcast continues to kick game-winning field goals in a couple of different settings. But I got a playoff breakdown for you because we are now in week 13 of the NFL season. So now this is when you can kind of talk playoffs a little bit, right? If the playoffs were to start today, Detroit would be the best team in all of football with a 12-1 record. They would get the bye in the NFC, and then your NFC matchups would be as follows. What? Remember I told you about my allergies?
Mm-hmm.
There you go. Washington will travel to Philly. Green Bay would travel to Seattle. Minnesota would travel to Atlanta. You shrug, but regardless of the fact, in that game, and I would love to cover that game, because Kirk Cousins' name is in the lead regardless. Assuming he's starting at that point, right? The AFC is led by an 11-1 Kansas City team. Your AFC matchups are as follows. Denver would go to Buffalo. Baltimore would go to Pittsburgh. The Chargers would go to Houston.
Hey, that's a crazy lineup right there. And the only reason I shrug at the Atlanta like Vikings situation is because Sam Darnold had been playing out of his mind. Like I'm gonna keep it real. We ain't even seen him play like this at USC.
Watch your. All right. So
I'm sorry. I forgot. We got fight on with it. But look,
we can end the show. I don't think I care that much. I'm gonna be honest with you.
I'm just saying, like we've never seen Sam Darnold play like this. So it's like I've been waiting for him to come down to earth, but he is not. At first I'm just like, yo, Justin Jefferson is just that elite to where he's just carrying, but no, like Sam Darnold is really playing just that well. So that's the only reason
Amazing what a good coach could do.
Shout out to Kyle Shanahan. I mean, oh no, wait.
Kyle Shanahan is still a great coach. Doesn't look like right now in with the Niners, but Kevin O'Connell is who we were talking about.
Kevin O'Connell, right? Too many Shanahans.
Way too many.
Right. So, yeah, but I mean, yeah, like just being in the right situation can really change everything. But yeah, with the Falcons, I mean, the Falcons are a team who could beat anybody, but they could lose to anybody. So I mean, that's the only reason. I'm just like,
is it because they're led by Kirk Cousins?
Yes, yes.
I'm not gonna lie, man. If you're gonna go over there and talk about the AFC, that Washington Philly game would be fireworks. That Washington Philly game. I know Baltimore and Pittsburgh is always something, especially in the playoffs. I would take Washington and Philly as my game of the week during that opening week. There's no way in hell I'm missing that game. And the way that these standings are looking, the way that these standings are looking, these two teams very well could link up. Right now, Green Bay and Washington might mess around and flirt with swapping records, which would be interesting to see because Green Bay and Philly haven't seen each other since week 1, and they've seen each other not even on U.S. soil. They saw each other in Brazil, so it would be interesting to see what that matchup would look like as well. You have 1, 2, 3, 4 teams in the NFC that are sitting at 6-6. One of those 4 teams is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, a team that the Raiders will see this Sunday from Florida, 10 a.m. Keep in mind, the Raiders will be trying to break a stretch of 10 straight. Oh, I lied. 8 straight losses. This team was 2-2 at one point. We are now sitting at 2-10 on the year. But if we're gonna try to transition into some happy news, the Knights have won back-to-back. So the Vegas Golden Knights have won back-to-back games since that 6-0 loss to Utah. Shout out to Bruce Cassidy. He talked about health and energy, right? He talked about the team being tired. Pardon. He talked about the road trip. He talked about just different factors that to be quite honest, he said, I'm not really sure that we can avoid these factors. It's travel. It's sleep schedule. These are things that due to the travel, due to these road trips. And on top of that, I think the first 3 games of that 5-game road trip had the team in Canada. So it's a lot that obviously comes with it too, right? And then you get a one-off. I can't really call it a one-off because they were shut out 2 times in a 10-day span, but you have what you would like to believe is an anomaly in that 6-0 loss at home, mind you, to Utah. And I don't know if you guys remember, but I came in here and I said I would just throw away the game film. Certain games, I'll say just toss it. Certain teams can't afford to toss it. Monday, Alex and I talked about how good this Vegas Golden Knights team really was. I think it could be really good. Alex said that they can catch fire And both of us kind of flirted around. This team can go to the Western Conference Finals again. In doing that, I don't see too many 6-0 outcomes for the Vegas Golden Knights. So then you follow that up with a shutout of your own by Mr. Aiden Hill. And the funny thing is, this, and maybe I should do a story with him. Now that I'm getting my brain to thinking. Shout out to Matthew Raftery, who covered the Golden Knights before stepping away from the company for a little bit. And Bruce is Bruce, right? Now, I'm not saying that Bruce doesn't know how to coach his guys the way that they need to be coached, because he clearly does. But I've heard from a couple of people, Matt was one of them, that Aiden is one of those guys that if a game gets to him, you can visibly see it on him. Aiden carries it with him. Aiden wears it on his sleeve. For lack of a better term, Aiden's an emotional guy when it comes to the criticisms, is what I've heard, right? Don't know the man personally. For me, even dealing with what people have said, and this is an interesting thing too, right? Goalies are going to go through stretches, like pitchers are going to go through stretches where doesn't look his best this month, doesn't look his best this week, this road trip, however you want to do it. Logan Thompson kind of talked about it a little bit. Here in Vegas, it's almost like the goalie gets too much of the blame. And then when things go right, they don't get half enough of the credit. Aiden Hill is somebody who, when games go wrong, and this is something that I don't know why the Knights fans, if they have paid attention to it, I'm not really sure why Vegas fans haven't been able to realize that if Aiden has a bad game and it turns into 2 and it turns into 3, the more that people rip into him, I'm not saying he should be immune to it, right? But if you care about your team, the more that people rip into him, it usually doesn't yield the best results. When Aiden is able to hit that reset button, however he hits it, like he did in this shutout win against Edmonton, and then you follow that up for the team with the win against the Ducks on the road. Bruce talked about it already this season, and I'll go ahead and reiterate. This team goes as Aiden Hill goes. No other way around it. Aiden's confident. The Knights are confident. Aiden's not confident. It's only so much that the top line can do. And I'm going to look at the standings again because I wrote it down, but we had games tonight. As of right now, the Knights are still in first place of the Pacific Division. They are 17-7-3 on the year. 37 points. They currently lead the LA Kings by 4 points. They lead the Calgary Flame by 6 points. And they lead the Vancouver Canucks along with the Edmonton Oilers by 7. Now, I'm actually going to switch it up a little bit, and we can get out of here after this. We can talk NBA on Monday, but the Knights have another big opportunity tomorrow, right? The Knights at home still from the Fortress. They have the Dallas Stars coming in. A Dallas Stars team that's 16-9 on the year. At least to this point, this team doesn't have an overtime loss on their record. 7 p.m. from the Fortress, a matchup of two teams that could very well be playing for the Stanley Cup championship this year. One thing interesting to note, pardon. The Knights are 10-3 at home. The Stars are 6-7 away from home. Now, the Knights should know this better than anybody. They know how it feels to dominate at home and not really take care of business on the road. That was their first month of the season, right? This is now, I understand it's the Stars. I understand the record is the record. But this is one of those moments you got to beat this team in front of you. More than you may see them later down the line. More than it's the Dallas Stars. This is a team that has been struggling on the road. You have an opportunity to go 11-3 at home. You got to get it done at the Fortress. And one other thing, I want to actually touch on. I want to see 3. You have a 3-game road trip after this as well. And the 3-game road trip isn't necessarily a light one. You're going to Winnipeg. You're going to Edmonton. You're going to Minnesota. Those teams are 19-8, 14-10-2, and 17-4-4. Those point totals are 38, 30, and 38. Vegas, get your dubs while you can. Until next time, guys. Keep on talking.
This beat crazy.